Hello students, welcome. In this lecture we are going to study about rectangular coordinate system in three-dimensional geometry. Basically when we start the concept of three-dimensional geometry, we have to know this. This is the basic. And then also after three-dimensional geometry, we will come to vectors. So this series of videos on three-dimensional geometry and vectors starts with the first lecture which is being presented here, and this is based on the rectangular coordinate system in three-dimensional geometry. So here, first of all, two-dimensional geometry you have studied in earlier classes. It is a rectangular plane. In a rectangular plane, what we used to do was we take two axes. One is x dash, another one is y dash, and we say that this plane is being divided into four quadrants. This is the first quadrant. Similarly, you will see second quadrant, third quadrant, and fourth quadrant. So this is a plane, and in order to divide a plane into four regions, we take two perpendicular lines, one of which is called x-axis and another is called y-axis. They intersect at origin. Now when we come to three-dimensional geometry, we talk about a space where we are living here. So in this space, there is also a third dimension associated. So if we draw a figure in which I am taking here this line as the y-axis, this is positive y, this is negative y, y dash, and this black line is the x-axis, x dash, and this green line is the axis, z dash. So overall the space is being divided into 8 regions which are called as octants. So there we study about quadrants, where we study about octants. So we have total 8 octants if we talk about three-dimensional space. Just as we know the sign scheme here, that x is plus, y is also plus in the first quadrant. Here it is minus plus, here it is minus minus, here it is plus minus. Similarly, in octants, we also have sign scheme, but here there are 3 coordinates, x coordinate, y coordinate and z coordinate, by which we can locate a point in a space. So in this figure, if we want to locate this point P on the space, we should know its 3 coordinates, x, y and z coordinates. So first of all, let us see the octants, what their sign should be. So if we come to the first octant, which is along positive x-axis, positive y-axis and positive z-axis. In this first quadrant, all the 3 coordinates are positive, that is plus, plus, plus in the first octant. When we come to the second octant, that means we are going to the region which is back of this. Okay, so actually a three-dimensional figure here it is. So x dash is just coming out of the plane. So we go back of this. So there we have a negative x-axis, positive y-axis and z-axis is still positive. So we will say that minus, plus, plus is the second octant. If we come to the third octant, we see that y also becomes negative. So minus, minus and plus is the third octant. And finally we come to this fourth octant, and we see here that now x is positive and y is negative and z is still positive. So right now I have told you 4 octants. We will come to 4 more octants here. So these 4 octants, if you will try to understand by this figure, this is above the xy plane. That means in the positive direction of z-axis. So the last coordinate, which is z-axis, is positive everywhere. Whereas the xy is plus plus, then minus plus, then minus minus, then plus minus. So you can consider that the same sign here has been added with a plus sign of z coordinate, and we have got 4 octants. Now we come below the xy plane, where we will come to the negative z axis. So what we do, we take 5th octant, 6th octant, 7th octant and 8th octant, and we don't have to do anything much. We just repeat this pattern by putting z coordinate as negative. So plus minus plus will become plus minus minus. This will become minus minus and then minus. This will become minus plus and then minus. And this will become plus plus and then minus. So this you can understand the octet system. In the 8 positions of octant, we can find this sign scheme over here. Now, what would be the coordinate of a point if it lies on any particular axis? So in that situation, we can say that the other coordinates are actually 0. Why is it so? Just see, if I take a point here which is on x-axis, this point A. So if you drop a perpendicular upon the y-axis or z-axis, it will intersect at origin. So this A point will have some x coordinate, that is its algebraic distance from origin on the x-axis, but the y and z coordinates will be 0. Similarly, if you take a point on y-axis anywhere, the x and z coordinate will be 0, but y coordinate will be the value which is the distance from the origin. Algebraic distance means if it is on the positive y-axis, it will be positive. If it was on the negative y-axis, it will be negative. Similarly, for z-axis, x and y coordinate will be 0. If a point is lying on a plane, suppose it is lying on this xy plane, is a point B which is on xy plane. So on a particular plane, it will have its x coordinates, it will have its y coordinate, but if you draw a perpendicular on the z axis, it will intersect at origin. So its z coordinate is 0. So for B, which is on xy plane, we have x coordinate, y coordinate, but z coordinate as 0. Similarly, if you take zx plane, then their y coordinate will be 0. So in this manner, we can plot points on axis or a plane. Otherwise, if it is on in an octant, we will have all the 3 coordinates non-zero. Now, if we have been given to find the distance between 2 points, how do we do that? So suppose this point P has coordinate x1, y1, z1, which means that this point, when perpendicular is dropped on the x-axis, it will intersect x-axis at x1. Similarly, if a perpendicular from point P will be dropped on the y-axis, it will intersect at the point whose distance from origin is y1. Similarly, on the z-axis, it is z1. There is another point, this is Q point. Suppose it is having coordinate x2, y2, z2. Now you have to find the distance between the point P and the point Q. How do we do that? So we have to understand here. Let us take the point Q naught here. I am taking the point Q at this place, because in this cuboid, these 2 points are diagonally opposite of the cuboid. See, this point and this point will have the x coordinates same. I don't want a simple case, I want a general case. So in this Q, you have x2, y2, z2, all of which are different from the coordinates of P. Now if I want to find the distance between P and Q, so what is the distance between PQ? We know that in a cuboid, the diagonal length, this is PQ, is the length of a diagonal of a cuboid, and this is the longest diagonal of the cuboid. So in order to find the length, we simply write root over length square plus breadth square plus height square. This is the length of PQ. What is the length? Length is the length along the x-axis, breadth is the length along the y-axis, and height is the length along the z-axis. So if we observe, the P point will intersect x-axis at x1 and Q will intersect x-axis at x2. So let us, for your understanding, let us draw the perpendiculars. So this is the perpendicular on x-axis, and from here this is the perpendicular on x-axis. So this is point M and this is point N. The point M has x coordinate x1 and point N has x coordinate x2. So distance between MN, length is actually MN. So the distance between MN is actually x2 minus x1. That is the difference between the abscissa. Similarly, from P and Q, you can draw perpendiculars on y-axis and you will find that breadth is equal to difference of y coordinates and height is equal to distance of z coordinates. They may be positive, they may be negative depending upon y1 is greater or y2 is greater. Similarly for other. Now PQ will become equal to square root of L square is actually x2 minus x1 whole square, then y2 minus y1 whole square, and finally we have z2 minus z1 whole square. So this is the formula of distance between 2 points given in a space where their coordinates are given to us. So this we call as distance formula. If you want to remember this, this is distance formula, which is similar to the distance formula in two-dimensional geometry. There we did not have x2 minus x, z2 minus z1. We were studying till here. Here one more axis has been added, so there is one more term. Now another concept is that of section formula. If you want to find the section formula, that means 2 points A and B having their coordinates x1, y1, z1 and x2, y2, z2 being divided by a point C in the ratio m is to n. A, B, C are collinear points here. So in that case, what is the coordinate of C? Here also there is the extension of the formula of two-dimensional geometry, which says that mx2 plus nx1 by m plus n. Its proof is also similar to the proof of the section formula in coordinate geometry, that is two-dimensional geometry. Similarly, my2 plus ny1 by m plus n and mz2 plus nz1 by m plus n. So these are the three coordinates of the point C. If this point C is externally dividing the line AB instead of internal division, in that case we know that we will write here minus, here also minus, minus, minus and minus, minus in case of external division. That means if we produce this AB and we take the point C somewhere here, in that case we take AC is to BC in the ratio m is to n. So what will be the coordinates of C? In that case you will take the minus sign. If it is internal division, you will take the plus sign, which we have studied in coordinate geometry also. If C is the midpoint, then m and n both will be 1. Okay. Now we come to centroid of a triangle. If we have been given 3 vertices of a triangle, let us name them. This is x1, y1, comma z1, x2, comma y2, comma z2, x3, comma y3, comma z3. So if you want to find the centroid of this triangle, you remember centroid is the point of concurrency, or we can say the point of intersection of the medians of a triangle. What are medians? Which divide the opposite side into two equal parts and are drawn from a vertex. So there is a point of concurrency of the medians, and this is denoted by G, which is the centroid of the median, centroid of the triangle. So what will be the coordinate of G? It will be almost similar to what we studied in two-dimensional geometry. So this will be x1 plus x2 plus x3 upon 3, then y1 plus y2 plus y3 upon 3, and then z1 plus z2 plus z3 upon 3. So this is the centroid. I will conclude this lecture with a question. The question says that we have been given 3 points. The coordinates are 3, minus 2, comma 4. This is a point A. Another point B is also given to us. It is actually equal to 1, comma 1, comma 1. And there is a C. It says that its coordinates are minus 1, 4, minus 2. Now you have to prove that these 3 points are actually collinear. You have to prove about their collinearity. So what we assume, that suppose they are collinear. If they are collinear, what will happen? That A, B, C will lie on a line, and let us assume any one of the 3 points, let us take B, divides AC in a ratio m:n. For calculation purpose, we can use k:1. Why is it so? Because m:n can be written as m upon n:1, and m upon n is some constant k:1. So we can assume k:1. K may be in fraction. So if B is dividing AC, whether internally or externally, accordingly we get K as positive or negative. So what will happen? This x coordinate 1 is equal to K into x coordinate of A, which is 3, plus 1 into x coordinate of C, which is minus 1, upon K plus 1. So this is about the x coordinate. When we solve this by cross multiplying and taking everything on one side, so what will happen? That K will come out to be 1. So K here is coming out to be 1. Now if this value of K is coming same for Y and Z also, then they are collinear. Otherwise they are not collinear. So we come to the Y coordinate of B, which is 1, K times of minus 2 plus 1 times of 4 upon K plus 1. Again by section formula. Let us simplify them. So you will get K is equal to 1 here also after simplification. Till now we are on the correct part. Let us check for the final coordinate, which is Z. So for the Z coordinate, what will we do? We will take 1, which is the Z coordinate of B, K multiplied with the Z coordinate of A, that will become 4K, and 1 multiplied with the Z coordinate of C, which is minus 2, upon K plus 1. Now let us solve this one also, and here also you will get K is equal to 1. So actually we are getting the same K whether we take X, Y or Z, which means that yes, these 3 points are collinear. If they were not collinear, then we were not getting the same value of K for each of the following coordinates. So this was the lecture, first lecture, which I have told you. In the upcoming lecture, we are coming to direction cosines of a line. and direction ratios of a line, which is again a very important topic if we want to proceed further in three-dimensional and vectors. So till then, thank you students.